Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
It's been said that black and white photos from, 100 or more years ago serve to hide the past rather than enlighten it. The people and stories surrounding them all but lost to us. But history reveals the hidden experience. And fortunately for us, history often is lavish with detail, as you will see and hear in this story, which begins, no doubt, with some sort of recklessness which has set this fellow's feet to running. In mere minutes, this young gentleman will begin a whole new life's experience in a temporary new home, the Camden County Jail, in the far northeastern corner of our state by the Virginia border. It's the third jail on this site, built in 1910. The jail before that burned down after one prisoner talked 3 others into escaping.
After the 4 prisoners tried to escape and burn the interior of the jail, the commissioner decided to have a new one. And they got the Stewart Jail Works from Cincinnati, Ohio to construct this.
They had plenty of experience building jails and prisons, like Leavenworth and Alcatraz, all painted a cheerful shade of steel gray. This small jail has 2 stories, a bullpen with 4 cells up for the men, 2 down for women.
Amazes me this jail was constructed for $6 days and $250.
With not a single dime devoted to making their guests feel at home.
Can you imagine what a prisoner must have felt when he was walking up these steps and would see this bullpen?
It's clear that the bullpen and its 4 cells mean business, because this is where the long shadow of the law falls on you.
That a jail is a temporary home until you're going to be convicted, and if you did a serious crime, you're going on to prison. You're not going to be put in here for 6 months to a year.
It's a good thing, because this place was not made for comfort, especially if it's full, which means 4 men crammed into a cell not much bigger than a walk-in closet. Our young prisoner has a right to his hangdog look. Imagine how cold it is in the winter. And in Camden's semi-tropical summer, the heat must be suffocating. Our young gentleman will love this next feature, a common toilet, placed centrally for jailer visibility, of course, but out there in the open for the prisoners to use and be seen.
The 1920s, when Prohibition came in, that's when the jail at one time became more active, as they put some moonshiners in the jail.
After the 1940s, the jail became too expensive to maintain, and thereafter Camden County sent its prisoners across the river to Elizabeth City in Pasquotank County, leaving the empty bunks, bars, and lock mechanisms to the cruelties of time and humidity. The first floor was used as storage for decades, until a preservation movement led to a grant for renovation of the building. The rusted bullpen was completely restored, and offices were created in the old cells downstairs to accommodate county administrative needs.
Well, when the county had the jail restored in 1986, they decided to put the doors here, but also maintain the original jail. And if we look over here, we can see one of the workers that we have. Good morning, Elaine.
Good morning.
You doing okay this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's interesting how even a building as foreboding as a jailhouse can seem relatively appealing after a thorough restoration.
We also said we want a place to display Camden history, and they did say you can have the jail. Wondered how many people want to go see a museum in the jail, but then I got thinking the bullpen would be a tremendous calling card. Not only do we show the early history of the Camden jail, but we are trying to represent Camden history. We start with the Native American Indians. We move to the colonial period with some of the tools. We continue Camden County's history during the Civil War with 4 major events. On the opposite wall over here, we do the history of the communities in Camden County.
The county is divided into 3 unincorporated townships. South Mills in the north is where the Dismal Swamp Canal enters North Carolina from Virginia. Shiloh in the south is a center of farming and fishing, where old trap can be found, called that by women because their men supposedly got trapped there for hours at a time, doing guy stuff. The geographical center of the county is also the county seat, home to the historic courthouse next door to the jail. When the jail was in operation, members of the community were paid to help with certain necessities, like regular meals prepared for the prisoners.
And they would come over here, hand it to the jailer. He would distribute the food to the prisoners.
Most anything would seem good to a man spending time here.
I think they got what the lady decided to cook that day. I don't think there was any menu whatsoever.
As evening turns toward night and the jailhouse settles down, a guard takes to the catwalk, from which he can keep an eye on all 4 cells at once, to make sure there were no escape plans being hatched or other mischief afoot. Raymond Chandler, famous for his detective novels in the 1930s, wrote that in jail a man has no personality. He is a minor disposal problem and a few entries on reports. Nobody cares who loves or hates him, what he looks like, what he did with his life. All that is asked of him is that he go quietly to the right cell and remain quiet when he gets there. Life in jail is in suspension. So, for those tempted to step outside the law, let our brief tour of the old Camden County Jail serve as a gentle warning. It could be a lot worse than this.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.